welcome to the show. I'll start with you. I found it very interesting interviewing Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate, both very controversial characters in different ways, both positioned as a kind of kings of toxic masculinity. I certainly didn't think Jordan Peterson was that. And when it came to Andrew Tate, I couldn't really conclude after 90 minutes of grilling him. I gave him quite a hard time. I couldn't really conclude what he had done that was so bad that he had to be expunged from social media life altogether. But it showed me the sensitivity around all this. And if any man now behaves in a way that looks like it's toxic masculinity, bang, they're expunged. Is in that process masculinity itself getting expunged and demonised?
I would say so. I mean, I'm sure that you'll have this experience with your own relationships, Piers, in that women, if you say something controversial, whether it's something on the Peterson side of the spectrum or on the Tate side of the spectrum, a little bit more explosive or a little bit more academic, some women are very much drawn to a man who can be a bit more confrontational, say exactly what he thinks. It's the verbal new version of what gladiators used to do in the arena way back.
Well, certainly, I think Ava and Isabel are laughing because they know that they're drawn to me in that way because of my combative nature. But Ava, you're smirking and laughing. I mean, there's a serious point here. A lot of young men feel they're getting disenfranchised by society. They're all being over-demonised, that any attempt to be the traditional male figure is now being rubbished and called toxic.
Well, I mean, if you really felt that and you really went out there and you were an alpha male, then you wouldn't be bothered about a bunch of women telling you that you were...
Well, you would if you get cancelled, like Andrew Tate, if you get banned from every social media platform.
I mean, he's hardly been cancelled. He was on your programme, which is on national television.
But it's the only platform, actually, he's had for a long time because all the social media companies banned him, literally banned him. He had his email gone, his Google gone, his Facebook gone. It all went down like dominoes.
Well, he's still on there, very, very prolific on there. I can't move for clips of him.
Yeah, but they're not generated by him now.
Well, but that's been for quite some time.
But should he be punished that way?
But what is punished? What is punished?
Punished is where companies take a decision which, in my view, in this case, was perverse because they still allow, for example, the Ayatollah of Iran to have a Twitter account.
Yes.
So there's no consistency here at all.
Well, but however, we love a bit of free market. I'm sure you do, judging by that suit, which is lovely. But, you know, social media companies are private companies.
Can you not objectify them, please?
They can do whatever
I'll take all the objectification I like.
Of course you will, yeah. All right, Isabel.
But Ava, your point about, you know, if men were that alpha, then they wouldn't be that bothered by this, doesn't really help us when it comes to boys growing up. And that is one of my worries, that for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like that.
As a mother of a teenage boy, I don't like that terror.
That's the malicious thing I've ever...
I do think it's really hard for a 16, 17-year-old boy now in this environment to know even how to start
they are all
having
terrified.
some kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I think it is, actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever start?
Well, don't. If you're not 100% sure,
are we going
don't.
for?
What are you going to have? A bunch of Newton boys who never had...
So obvious.
We actually do have that. Gen Z is having far less sexual relationships than any ever
they
before.
are, it's true.
And
young people have stopped having sex.
I agree with the first part of your sentence, actually. If you're not willing to have a sexual relationship with clearly defined lines, don't have one. And so I actually told my mates at university, don't sleep around with girls. 1, girls don't bring a guy home that you don't know what he's capable of. 2, guys, don't bring a girl home if you think that possibly she could have a false accusation against you.
Can I make another point here?
Which I find, I mean, look, that sentence to me, when I was your age, right? How old are you?
23.
23. When I was your age, the idea you would even have that sort of thought process.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't
be
have those sort of mates that would ever cross the line, so I wouldn't have to have that conversation with any of my friends.
Don't throw my mates in with a bunch of violent people.
And what has sent a shudder through all of our spines from your mouth today is the line that all young men should be terrified of any physical contact. Well, no, you didn't say it like that. You said basically of starting any physical contact with a woman.
Unless you're sure.
How does a 16, 17-year-old boy know?
I would like to know whether you accept that women, and particularly teenage girls and young women, sometimes give out pretty mixed signals. They give out mixed messages. They're not even sure what they want at any given time.
I think we're victim blaming.
I don't think that's
victim
blaming.
Come off
So
it,
do you
I think we are
accept